Hey, what's up everybody? Adam Bush here, coming at you from beautiful Tulsa International Airport. Welcome to Church News. Today, the storytelling team and I are embarking on a big-time compassion offering trip where we're going to document 3 compassion initiatives, all of which are in Africa. We got about 1,000 hours of flying time ahead of us, so let's go. Harare, Zimbabwe is home to amazing scenery, exotic wildlife, and this place, Celebration Church. Celebration was founded by the Dushel family over 30 years ago when they packed up and moved from Denver to bring Jesus to the people of Zim.
Our nation's been through so much. We've had 2 economic collapses and we've just kind of stayed there. You have systemic poverty, which means the government has a system of keeping people in poverty. Do all that together and you've got a fruit salad of nonsense.
This is Tommy, the founding pastor's son and one of the pastors of Celebration. Their church has been used by God in a really incredible way, especially considering that over the last decade, Zimbabwe has been in a constant economic decline. It takes 300 Zimbabwean dollars to equal $1 US, and their inflation is insane. Between the time it would take you to grab a loaf of bread off the grocery store shelf and bring it up to the counter, the price could easily double. Add that to the 90% unemployment rate, and you got a nation in desperate need of hope.
We're 80% Christian as a nation, but we have more theft, more corruption than almost any other nation. We've got to figure out how the 80% Christian change society.
Celebration is red hot. It's made up of not one, but about 150 churches. They got their main campus, smaller campuses, house churches. With their church community so spread out, one of their greatest needs is a discipleship curriculum to help people grow together and deeper in their journey with Christ.
If we can have all of our churches focus on discipling people into this one-on-one relationship with Jesus, we want to see that affect society.
Celebration wants to produce and distribute a discipleship curriculum not unlike our Real Jesus study. It's a program they've been talking about for a while. And in spite of living in an impoverished country, their people raised $125,000 to fund this endeavor. They're just $50,000 short of their goal. And through our 2019 Compassion Offering, we want to raise that money and help Celebration reshape their nation with this critical gospel project. With a week in Zimbabwe under our belts, it's time to head up north to our next initiative in Uganda. Flying into Uganda was quite the experience. I got in about 2 o'clock in the morning, which can be something of an adventure in any third world country. But then when we got in the van to head out, it wouldn't start. When this happened, everybody around us came to help. 2 different people pulled their cars up. We didn't have cables, so someone found some bare wires. I asked our driver if he knew any of these guys. Nope. That was my introduction to Uganda Community, which is a huge part of the initiative I'm here to visit, Project Orphans.
Believing that no child is ever lost, every person is valuable, and all people are worthy of love.
That's Brittany. Brittany and her family attend Church on the Move South Campus. About 8 years ago, Brittany and her friend Christina were doing missionary work in Uganda and decided to start a nonprofit that serves the villages they were working in. First, they connected sponsorships to children in need, but then they got involved in aiding with foster care. They've got about 60 or so kids that are sponsored on a regular basis to meet their educational needs, their medical needs, their clothing needs, and so the sponsors have sent them gifts, and so we're just out with Project Orphans visiting all of them and just loving on these kids and families and giving them these gifts. In 2016, they built the Pearl Village, and with it a free medical center, community gardens and farms, and this place, Oasis Church. The day I flew in fact, was the church's first service. 2 hours before the service was supposed to start, the place was already packed. People had heard the band practicing, so they just showed up and had pre-church. The whole service was amazing and just so alive. But my favorite part was at the end, when Brittany took the mic and said, "Everything we've built here is good, but the most important building is this church, because this is one of the places you'll hear about the real Jesus." Yeah. Over 8,000 miles away, people are talking about meeting the real Jesus. Project Orphans has our heart, our mission, and the drive to help the community I met the moment I arrived. So we want to partner with them, and through our Compassion Offering, give them $60,000 to help fund the work God's called them to do.
I think the future for us is doing what we're doing right now and doing it right with integrity and loving on people and showing them Jesus every single day. There's opportunity in helping people get prenatal care, so we're taking down the risk of infections, we're taking down the risk of birth deaths and defects. That's where I see our future going, and whatever God does in between, we're just ready for.
So, with 2 stories and initiatives under our belts, it's time to head to our final stop on the tour. Allow me to introduce you to a remote village in northern Africa, a little place called Sega. Okay, so obviously not that Sega. This Sega is home to about 17,000 citizens, most of whom rely on subsistence farming, growing and raising your own sustenance. In fact, when we arrived, our host family made us a big meal, including chicken they raised and I ate. A first for me. If you're asking, why are you in Sega? It's because of this guy. This is Protus. He's from Sega, and though he's lived in the US for quite a while, he has not forgotten his roots. And he sees the trouble his village is experiencing.
Idleness. You get out of school, and then there's nothing else for you. The kids that we've worked with, they wind up getting trapped into gambling and drugs and hopelessness.
Protus is all about helping his village. Several years ago, Protus started a nonprofit to help Sega solve some real problems. Like, for kids to do their homework at night, they need light, obviously. But since most families don't have electricity, they end up using these lanterns that are just a disaster. Protus raised the money to ship these. They're solar-powered lanterns. He's raised money for textbooks, built the foundation for a new school, and sent over 4,000 Bibles to his community. Next up, build a Christian library in his village.
It's going to provide a much safer environment for those who are going to be using it. So instead of being on drugs, you will be in the library. Instead of being on gambling and betting, you will be in the library or getting a book. It's a lifestyle change.
Right now, I am standing on the land that our good friend Protus has donated to this village to build a library on. They already have the books, they already have the Bibles, they have the Christian resources. Now they just need a library. And Protus and our friend Andre, they have a vision. They know exactly what this library is going to look like and how it's going to serve this village.
We have the book section. Then we have a space, safe space for the youths. We're also going to have a last bit of it, which will only be for the computers.
If right now you're thinking, we could raise that money, then you're tracking with me. For just $25,000, we can build a Christian library and transform this entire village. We'll be building a safe space for families to come together, find resources, and ultimately find Jesus.
What I'm hoping for is it's going to be a vessel to spread the gospel. We want the library to be a place where people can come, get the Bible, where people can come and get some resources that can help them. If we build what God wants us to build, it is going to be a safe haven for many.
So there you have it, 3 amazing initiatives to get behind and fund. And who better to raise this money than us? A group of Christ followers with the desire to not just be a big church, but a big church that makes a big difference. And do what we love. Introduce people all the way over in Zimbabwe, Uganda, and Kenya to the real Jesus.